Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
What's up? What's up? This is Robbie McCluskey here with Joe Aguirre, and we are the Following Flames podcast crew. Joe, how you doing today?
I have zero complaints. My pool finally is fixed, and it's running properly for the first time all season. Another pipe burst in my pool. Apparently, the plumbing I did was terrible, and my guys came over today. Running like
a pool boy, stop boy.
I did. Yeah. Three of them.
And you were just eyeing them the entire time on a hot day.
It's funny that you should say that. I was sitting out back on the patio, had the fan on. I was enjoying myself, a delicious cup of coffee. Yeah, I watch contractors when they work at my house.
And every now and then they're like looking over their shoulder, being like, we're not getting paid enough for this guy to be getting closer every couple minutes.
Sometimes I'll walk over and just kind of check in, like, hey, how's it going? Or hey, anybody need a drink? Or nobody ever wants a drink. I just say that just to see what's up.
An ice cold lemonade.
Yeah. Anybody want a nice cold lemonade? Yeah. They were dressed mostly. It's hot out.
Despite your hardest attempts.
Dude, you have no idea the anxiety this pool has been causing me all summer. I'm not even joking.
Well, it's an in-ground pool too, so I assume it's a lot harder to work on.
Oh yeah. Thank God none of the problems are underground, because if that were the problem, this would be a much bigger issue that we'd be talking about. So I've been lucky, but again, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do anything. I'm not talented like that.
I feel like pools in New Hampshire are a completely different story than like having a pool in a really hot area, because you get all the seasons at their fullest. So it could just be a nightmare as far as the water that's in all the pipes and stuff. Maybe you know more about that, but that's just as an outsider not able to own his own pool yet, above or below ground. That sounds like something that would be a worry to me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it for 3 months out of the year, it doesn't even make sense to have one.
Yeah. But it's cool. You can say you have an in-ground pool. It's a bit of a classy statement. It's like I drive a Mercedes.
Yeah, it's all I get out of that statement.
Yeah.
I have a pool.
Well, Joe, I don't know how you feel about icebreaker questions. I don't know why, but I come across a lot of people that hate icebreakers. I like to consider them campfire questions, and it's a little more fitting for the Following Flames podcast for them to be referred to as campfire questions. But I've got a campfire question for you if you want it.
Do it.
Cool. Okay, so Here's the situation. You've got to follow a band across country, and you've got to fund your trip by selling one type of food out of the trunk of your car or van. Very, very kind of like hippie frugal style. What is the band you would follow, and what is the type of food you would sell to fund the trip?
Wow. All right. The band that I would follow would be Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band.
Great.
And the food that I would sell would be what's something old people need. Let's say some sort of high fiber cupcakes.
Okay, you're coming at it from a very different angle than I would. That's a very adult answer. You're considering the age demographic as well as like
I
their
put some thought
dietary
into this.
concern.
What's your band? What's your band and product?
So it's kind of a close tie between Pearl Jam or the Foo Fighters, just because they have such a huge catalog that they wouldn't get old. They're also they seem like awesome guys live. Foo Fighters, it's tough because they just lost Taylor. Taylor? Man, hold on. I'm gonna feel terrible if I forget this name. Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, they just lost Taylor Hawkins, unfortunately. I did get to see Foo Fighters once live, though, which was incredible, even though I got taken to the emergency room at Fenway Park. But different story. Really quickly. I was really early in my after I broke my neck, so I was like learning to walk again, which is I actually had that on a shirt because there's a lyric from a Foo Fighters song that's like learning to walk again. So I was going all over Boston, and I was too cheap to buy a cab, so I spent $5 on a Charlie card to go through the subway, which pretty much made it like a 2-mile walk in the end on a really hot day. Like wearing jeans, broken neck. Yeah, I had like a walker too. I was like an 80-year-old granny, essentially like doing everything she can to get to her hair appointment. But yeah, so I ended up getting there. And then by the time they were doing all their sets and stuff, it was also the year when Dave Grohl was sitting on a throne made of guitars because he fell off a stage at a previous show and broke his leg. I just overheated and was like passing out in the crowd. So they took me to the emergency room, which was kind of sucked, but I had free tickets, so it could have been worse. But so a tie between Pearl Jam and the Foo Fighters, and the food that I would sell, I was thinking less about the age demographic and their dietary concerns and more about like people with the munchies. So I was thinking just grilled cheese sandwiches, hook up a really tiny griddle, 3 ingredients or something like butter, white bread, cheese, American cheese slices, maybe a little garlic powder to add that, just add a little class to it after a nice concert. I feel like a lot of people would love those. You can probably sell them for $2 each, make like a bunch of money off of like $30 worth of materials and sell it for like probably a 200-300% markup. That was my idea.
First of all, I think you're undercutting yourself at $2. I think you could definitely get a 5 spot on those sandwiches.
I'm just a man serving food out of my trunk in a parking lot, man. I don't want to make people too skeptical.
I think if we're angling on stoners, though, I'm probably going to load up on Reese's Peanut Butter Cups because I don't know anybody that's going to turn a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup down.
Yeah, but I feel like if somebody was offering like a kid Reese's Peanut Butter Cups out of the trunk of their car, I feel like parents would be more like, this guy's got grilled cheese. He's like making them. It's more, as opposed to, especially like maybe like how you or I look, being like, hey, kid. We got music taste. Robbie, do you want a candy?
I had a listener who used to make me homemade fudge a couple times a year. And it was outstanding. And after a year of just constantly bringing me this fudge, he says, hey, last night I made a delicious stir fry. I'm bringing a plate by the radio station for you. And he comes to the radio station and he's got this plate of stir fry on a styrofoam plate with like a Reynolds wrap over it. And he handed it to me. He's like, enjoy. You're going to love this. And he turned around and walk away. And as I turned to my right, I dropped the plate right into a garbage can. Now, I'm sure his stir fry was delicious, But do you understand the difference here? I'm willing to eat this guy's fudge. I'd eat some cookies. People
Isolate
brought
that audio.
cookies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely. Mark that time down. Yeah. That's gonna be the promo.
10 minutes, got it.
Yeah, I would eat. I guess here's the thing. I'm willing to die eating fudge or cookies. I feel like if he poisoned me with the stir fry and I ate it, people would be like, "What a loser! You ate the stir fry? That looked right to you? A styrofoam plate guy just, hey, eat this," and you were like, "Okay." So I didn't do it.
I think that
That
would be
makes
worthy
sense.
of an Inside Edition article, though. Like, Inside Edition wouldn't be like, "Man eats poisoned fudge," because, I mean, even when I was in middle school, some girl got, like, food or got poisoned because somebody brought in brownies that they made with laxatives. So, like, obviously, you can slip a lot of things into brownies, and people are like, "Ooh, baked goods." But if somebody brings in a stir fry, and that's crazy enough as it is, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make somebody a stir fry and bring it to them," and then the person accepts it and eats it. Welcome to Inside Edition, baby.
Yeah, right. I'm 100%. I understand getting poisoned or the laxative joke on cookies or brownies or a pie, right? A stir fry. You know what I mean? That's a little, I don't know. That just felt a little too personal.
I mean, you're shitting your brains out if it's a bad stir fry anyway.
Sure.
That
It's
actually
a
reminds me,
lose-lose.
we're bringing back a lot of memories of when I was earlier in my broken neck phase. I was actually in a rehab hospital and I was so bored because I was like 3 months in. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to make deviled eggs for everybody. And deviled eggs in general are a very love or hate kind of food, which always surprised me. I don't think deviled eggs are like licorice, but you know, a lot of people are like, no, I hate eggs. I hate deviled eggs. I'm
I
just like,
love deviled eggs are my
yeah,
favorite.
probably one of my favorite things if I go to a cookout or a barbecue and somebody has made deviled eggs. It's like, oh, great. They even put the paprika on top.
The paprika's the difference maker. I've been to parties where I've been told you can't eat all of these
Mm-hmm.
because I'll just stand by the table and I'll just start eating all of them, and I don't care about anybody else.
Yeah, I usually after like my fifth deviled egg at a party, I just start to like slowly grab them and look around while I'm doing it because I feel like I'm taking my more than my share. But then again, like if I'm going to a barbecue or something or a cookout, I'll usually bring deviled eggs because more likely than not, everyone has brought double of everything else as opposed to deviled eggs. I have yet to go to a party where everyone's like, "Oh, I assumed everyone was making everything but deviled eggs," and we just have a giant party table full of
Imagine
deviled eggs.
that
Only
would
in
be
my
my
dreams.
favorite. That would be my favorite party foul of all time if everybody showed up with deviled eggs.
Yeah, that scene in like The Wolf of Wall Street where Leo's getting laid on a bed of money. I would like that, but just a bed of deviled eggs.
My mother-in-law, big deviled egg maker, and as soon as I get over her house before the big family parties or whatever, I will help myself to a few. And
Do-
when they finally put the deviled eggs out, inevitably it's like, "Joe, did you eat these?" And I'm like, "No." And there's paprika all in my beard and stuff.
Your mouth smells like rotten eggs. It's like, nope, totally just deny, just
I'm
smile and
addicted to
wave,
those
boys.
things. I swear to God, I'll clean a plate of deviled eggs.
Well, you can also justify them as a more healthy option than a lot of other stuff there. So it's just like, oh yeah, it's eggs with what? Brown mustard or like spicy brown mustard or a little vinegar. It's like there's no sugar. Well, actually, I don't really like when people bring desserts to a cookout because usually by the time I'm done eating all the other food, I'm just like, sweets. But yeah, it's protein, low calorie a lot of the time, depending on how many you eat. Let's just say it's difficult to make it a high calorie meal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know deviled eggs are awesome. I forgot what even led us to that. Deviled eggs are great though.
They are.
Now somebody selling deviled eggs out of the back of their car at a concert to fund their travels, that would be kind of weird. I would not trust that just because of all the perishable ingredients included in that.
I would want to see what kind of storage was being used prior to my purchasing said deviled eggs.
Mm-hmm.
We
What
got
are
a
else?
cooler, or is
What?
this just a plate in your car?
Yeah, yeah. Is like the AC keeping them keeping them preserved?
Yeah.
That's when I lose trust. What are other foods that you wouldn't accept? Well, I mean, based on how I was raised, I probably wouldn't accept most foods out of the back of somebody's car. But um,
But if you were to, as a general rule,
mhm.
which ones wouldn't you take? Again, I feel like anything that involves a lot of the hands as
Yep.
you're making said item.
Anything with like moisture or liquids would throw me off. I don't know why, but
Yeah, anything wet, any wettish kind of food. I don't know. I don't know what that wet is. I
if I
can't
had,
be certain.
yeah, if the food you're handing me has the potential to be dripping, then I probably don't want to accept it. Unless
Right.
it's like a Klondike bar, because those things are awesome and they always get really soft really quickly. I just had Klondike bars the other day. I've been on a sugar kick. Like, actually, it's amazing that you mentioned your friend making you chocolate or bringing you fudge, and your willingness to eat that man's fudge. But I had just like the biggest sugar cravings for the past couple days, and like they were like debilitating. So I got like a big box of Nutty Buddies that I've just been munching on, as well as like some Klondike bars. And it got to the point where yesterday I took a bite out of a Nutty Buddy, and I was like, okay, I've overindulged on sugar. I have no interest in this anymore. And then on the front door knocks my sister, who got back from traveling around Europe for a little bit. She was like, the first thing I'm going to do is go to Robbie and like not even test myself coming back from Europe. So I was like, yeah, come on in. And she has just two giant bars of really nice chocolate. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is like me craving a new car, so I buy like 20 Honda Civics, and then somebody is like, "Hey, you want this Ferrari?" And I'm just like, nah, I'm done with wanting new cars."
Yeah, I've had
Uh,
enough of that.
yeah, I was like, I'm just looking at them like, "Oh God, these look so good, but so bad at the same time." It's actually called Leonidas chocolate, and it's almost like those. It's kind of boxed in a way that you feel bad about opening it because it just looks so pristine, almost like Lindt chocolate too. But
Nice.
I'll probably have another craving tomorrow and jump right into these because 70% cacao.
Have I told you about my white suburban male trail mix?
No.
It consists of a box of snow caps, a bag of peanut M&Ms, some cashews, whole cashews, and flavored almonds.
Okay, so it's not just various candies.
It's that. It's exactly that. It's two nuts and two candies. I feel like they balance each other off.
I don't think I've ever eaten snow caps.
Oh, really? Snow
I
caps? You know what those are? They look
Isn't it
like
just like
little.
chocolate with like little white nonpareil things or like those little
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm convinced that's crack on top of there because those things are, you got to just eat them all in one handful.
Well, what part of Connecticut are you buying them from? Because it could be crack.
Maybe it is. I love snow caps. Snow caps are that's my movie candy of choice.
That's something that like media should focus on around Halloween. It's not like people are putting razor blades in your candy. It's like your candy is covered in crack.
Yeah, I'm
And that's
telling you.
why it's not just a
If they were
sugar
to
high.
if they were to announce that's crack on there, I would still eat that.
These do honestly, they okay, so I think the reason I've never been really all that interested in them is because the box kind of just isn't appealing, but they look good. They almost look like kind of like those chocolate covered animal crackers without the cracker part in them.
Tell you right now, you put 3 or 4 of those in your mouth, give it like 10 seconds, and then bite down. And then you'll take the box, you'll lift it up to your mouth, and you'll pour the entire rest of the box down your gullet.
Oh, they got that junior mint effect.
I'm telling you, dude, snow caps. Get yourself some snow caps, and we'll talk about it. It'll change your life.
It looks like a theater type candy, like a theater box candy.
Yep. Now, I also love nonpareils, like the bigger, rounder candy the bigger version of that,
Mhm.
also covered in the little sugar dots. Those are also delicious. Some people don't like those, and I've seen it where there's been bad chocolate associated with those nonpareils. But snow caps are fantastic. It's a delicious chocolate. I just had a box last night.
These do look delicious, yeah. God.
I'm willing
Would
to
you
hang my reputation on snow caps.
You know what I'd like to find? I'd like to find somebody who's willing to hang their reputation on Necco wafers.
No, nobody would do that. That'd be a crazy move.
There's gonna be one person out there who's not
That's
in jail for being a serial killer.
right. That's a solid candy. That's a theater candy for sure.
But
Necco
Necco
wafers.
wafers, are you defending them?
I'm not defending them. I'm just explaining their place in society. I wouldn't have the Necco wafers.
I don't think you could pay me to have Necco wafers. Well, you
My
probably
brother,
could.
my
They're
brother
still
liked
terrible.
Necco wafers, but my brother was always the guy that liked score bars and things no one else wanted.
Score bars?
Yeah. You remember
Never even
score
heard of
bars?
No,
Oh, look
looking
that
it up.
up.
Okay.
My brother was crazy. It's like, I think it's a caramel inside.
Oh,
hard-
yeah. Okay, never mind. Yeah, now that I've seen
Yeah.
SKOR. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Again, I always feel like my brother chose things that he knew I wouldn't like. Like, even if he didn't enjoy it, just knowing I couldn't take one of those things would have been enough pleasure for him to do
My
it.
parents did that whenever they were shopping for Christmas gifts for me. They'd just be like, "Oh, he'll hate this. We can return it and get our money back." It's like he gave us a list of literally 2 things, the only things that would make his Christmas a good one. We're like,
So
we'll
my
pass on those.
My birthday's in June. Christmas is in December. 29th, 25th of the dates. Generally, whatever I wanted for my birthday, it would be expensive. But by Christmas, it would be cheap. And so I would never get what I wanted when I wanted it, but I would always get it 6 months later when it was half price. It was a better deal to be had, and then I would get it. But it would be either at the next juncture, the next holiday for me. It was an interesting process. I never did without. I just had to wait.
Could you imagine having a kid who's obsessed with Christmas all year round and all the gifts on his Christmas list are just like Christmas related stuff, so the parents can't wait until after the holidays to get him gifts? They just always have to pay full price.
My daughter's a Christmas baby.
You were telling me
And
that. You did.
yeah,
Wait, wasn't it December 26th?
no, it was almost. She was born 9 minutes before the 26th.
Oh, yep.
I was
Yep, I
afraid it
remember
was going to be the 20th. I thought that would be even worse. But there's family members that only buy her one present, and in the card they write "Merry Christmas" and "Happy Birthday."
Those are the worst.
That's not right.
No. Especially for a child. I mean, yeah, that could I mean, that could be a little disheartening for a
Sharing a
kid.
birthday with Jesus is rough.
Yeah. Big shoes to fill. Big
Yep.
Birkenstocks to fill.
That is true.
But,
Yep.
you know, I haven't really thought much about Christmas or like thought like all that highly of it ever since last week when I discovered Santa wasn't real. So
I'm so sorry about that.
yeah, no, and it sucks because I got to wait 3 months to get a therapist. It's really ruined my last week. We shouldn't have talked about our most disappointing experiences. I've just been thinking about them.
I know what if we do that show over again, what your number one answer is going to be. Doing that show.
Yeah, referencing a previous episode. That's going to be great advertising for someone who hears that, who starts listening on that episode. One of my greatest disappointments was one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's hilarious.
But
Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't know. I forgot you're from the Great North.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much raised making the toys for the rest of the kids in the world. I mean, I got weird shaped ears. They're not pointy at the top, but I'm half elf. Actually, if you see my sister, you'd believe she's full elf because I'm pretty sure she's under the legal limit for not a midge.
Oh no,
or a little person. No, yeah, she's very tiny. I was gonna have it as one of my biggest disappointments, but I can't confirm that I'm adopted. But I'm easily like 6 inches taller than everyone else in my family, and like everyone says I look like my mom or dad, and I'm just like, I don't see it. Mainly because I have to look really far down to even start to compare next to him. But yeah, like people have to stand back to get me in frame when we're taking family pictures. So I don't know what recessive gene I've got that just popped back up, but yeah, I'm my sister's like 4'11" and 3 years older than me, and I topped out at 6 feet, so it's nice. It's nice to like use her as an armrest every now and then.
My brother, my sister, and I were 15 months apart. Same face, same beautiful green eyes, same hair, same beards, same stocky frame.
Your sister
My
too?
younger, yes.
Same beard.
My younger brother is like 6 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, thin as a rail.
Damn. Is anyone else
Yeah.
in your family like that?
No,
Huh.
no. He does bear he bears a striking resemblance to my cousin Jeff, my mother's brother's son. But it's weird. He doesn't look like anything like us.
That's interesting. My one of my uncles who hasn't really come, my mom doesn't let him come by anymore because he always said I looked like the milkman that we used to have, but I never met the man, so I wasn't able to compare. Maybe someday. Maybe
What
someday I'll
would you
meet you.
do if you found out that one of your parents wasn't your well, I would have, obviously wouldn't be your mom. What'd you do if you found out like your dad, like your mom's like, I was 3 weeks pregnant when I met your dad and he just raised you? Would that shatter your world or would you not care?
I feel like a scumbag for saying this, but I'd probably think, what are the financial possibilities because of this? But I don't know. I mean, I'd probably just.
I like that you're assuming your mom only would have gave it up before your dad to some millionaire playboy just sort of passing through town with an indecent proposal.
Well, no, I mean, millionaire
I'm just
playboy
kidding.
would have probably ditched me and had an NDA in place, and then it'd be like, no. But this is 2022. You know what I'd do? I'd probably find the man and I'd set up like a candid camera or like hidden camera crew in a bush and just like buzz into his the mansion gate or something. Be like, hey man, I'm your son. Try and get it all on camera. I don't know. As far as everybody
That'd
says, I
go
look like
viral.
Macaulay Culkin, so maybe it would be a millionaire.
Right? Imagine.
How old is Culkin nowadays? Because this could get
He's-
really redneck.
I know, right?
Macaulay.
He's got to be what, mid 40s, I'm guessing?
I don't know.
Low 40s? He's got to be
he was
40 at least.
born in 1980. He's 42. Amazing.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
I always thought he was a lot closer to my age, but maybe not.
No, he was, yeah. He's 7 years younger than me. No, 5 years younger than me. Yeah.
So if he was my dad, he would have to be, he would have had to have been 14. He was a child actor based on how they treated them. It's not entirely
Well,
impossible.
I think he had a cocaine thing going on at 14, so it's certainly possible. You know,
I mean, who doesn't have a cocaine thing going on at 14?
You just reminded me of something crazy I saw yesterday.
14-year-old doing cocaine?
Almost. You ever watch the Jetsons cartoon?
Yeah, well, not a ton because it was way before my time.
You
but
know
like,
the show.
watched it on Boomerang, of course.
Okay, so meet George Jetson, right?
Mhm.
His wife, Jane. So now in 2062,
Little boy, what is it, Elroy?
Elroy, yep, and daughter Judy. George in 2062 is 40 years old. Jane is 32. Do you know how old Jane, the daughter Judy, is?
26.
She's 16. Do the math. The mother's 32. She's 16. How old was Jane when she had Judy Jetson? 16. And George was 24.
Well, I mean, depending on where they're at in America, it's not a big problem.
You would
Or
think in 2062 we'd be a little less conservative by then, but apparently in the future, child brides is still a thing.
yeah, well, also in the future, we probably have more successful age reversal remedies. So
Yeah.
maybe they were just visually that age. Or it could be like that movie, what is it? In Time, where they just stop aging at a certain point.
I just find it super interesting that, I mean, what is this show from like the 1950s or 60s? Hanna-Barbera came out with that stuff. I just think that's bizarre, dude. They could have made her any age they wanted to, and they made her 16 when she had her daughter.
They were probably creating that show, and then they saw Dumbo and Pinocchio, and they were like, okay, well, this isn't that bad. They're just like, we're not literally getting kids drunk and giving them cigars and turning them into donkeys.
I think this is the more important question: is where was George Jetson hanging out in that he met this 16-year-old girl?
I don't know.
Nope, there's no backstory on that. I'm just curious now.
We need a live action backstory on George Jetson. That's just a terrible drama acted by Jared Leto.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy, right? George Jetson.
George
Getting
Jetson,
it on underage
pedophile.
girl. Yeah, man, who knew?
An American icon who's done bad things to young women.
That's on George Jetson's not the president in the future.
Yeah. Or just a massive Hollywood icon as well, but who knows?
Yeah, big time Hollywood producer. He's on his way.
So speaking of things that were huge in the past, I went to the mall for the first time in like 6 years the other day because I couldn't. I was trying to shop on Amazon, but they didn't have the sea salt spray that I needed to get the flow in my hair, so I had to go over to Ulta. So I walk in, and it was very similar to like the beginning of a horror movie where they're in a town, like people are in a town that's pretty much abandoned, and you're like, this has weird feels to it, man, but there's locals there and they seem a little out of touch with reality, and everyone walking around just seems unhappy or almost just like an NPC that's just placed there. So I'm just like, this is, I don't know what's more uncomfortable, walking through a mall in 2022 or going to Walmart. It was very odd. And then I go into Ulta, and I'm just like a dude. Like I was looking like a homeless person there because I didn't care. I was like pretty much wearing my pajamas going in there, and I'm like walking around this place, and I shit you not, I went to like the hair care stuff, like the hairspray or the sea salt spray or whatever, and I'm like looking around for a while, and I don't find what I'm looking for, and then I realized that they just have a tiny little men's section, which is essentially the same size as like the condom section in a in like a CVS, like that. The entire place is dedicated to female products, and then there's like a little condom section for men essentially, and I'm just like, oh sweet. Like I didn't mind it. I was just like, oh, they gotta. This is just the like, how much stuff do women need? Like I don't know if it's just that they're convinced that they need to have all those products and beauty products, or that there's actually like they need to treat their hair differently and stuff. I was just like, my God, how many options? This must be so overwhelming. And I was just overwhelmed by like three shelves tall and 3 feet wide.
Women have it tough, apparently, because they do.
Apparently, they've got it tough relatively out in the open. But
do you know I only started using conditioner in the last year and a half?
Well, your hair used to be short as well.
Yeah. So. Sometimes I would just wash my head with soap. I didn't even bother putting any because my hair is always short.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that there's different shampoos and conditioners for wavy or bouncy or curly. I didn't know that. I'm learning
high
those
moisture,
yeah,
dry hair.
Horrible. My wife is 43, no wrinkles on her face, and I'm like, I like that you're not all old and wrinkly looking. And she was like, because I've been putting moisturizer on my face every day since I was 16. I take care of my skin, and I thought, I don't do that. I've never put moisture on my face ever.
Me neither. Actually, the only thing I do use is like Nivea aftershave, and that's mostly just because I like the way it makes my face smell.
Yeah. Yeah, I use a little Gillette aftershave.
But then again, you've got a much more impressive beard, so I imagine that would be a total pain in the ass if it did get like if you didn't treat it well, because that stuff gets itchy, like really.
Oh God!
Itchy.
Well, yeah, dude. You know, it's funny. I actually just had like a beard itch the other day. Oh, do one of these, and my daughter was like, "Why are you itching your beard?" And I was like, "Because it's a beard. It's supposed to be." But it's been weird. It's you do it up nice, and yeah, it's a lot of work, but I got the time.
I feel like a great parent way to explain that to their daughter would be like, "How old's your daughter? Which one? The daughter that asked this?"
9.
Yeah, I'd be like, all the problems that like girls have at pretty much every age. Well, this is kind of a guy's version of that. We get a scratchy face every now and then.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine usually comes if it gets itchy just like at night, right before I'm going to bed. So I usually just have to get up and shave my entire face and try to fall asleep after that. But luckily, I don't have much of. Well, I got a little bit of a goatee, mainly because this might sound crazy, but I created a new character in a game called Fallout, which is like a post-apocalyptic, like post-nuclear disaster game. And I was like trying to make my character look as similar to me. And I was going through the facial hair and the hair options. And I was like, I need photo reference so I don't keep guessing on myself or like looking in my camera. So I just went and like tried to shave the exact look that I was going for. And then I like took like full 360 pictures. So I was just like, okay,
It's dedication.
The nose is a little farther in on the screen. Let's pull that back a little bit, make the nostrils a little bit wider. Eyes are a little close. And I know it's all messed up. Okay, let's start over. But yeah, so now I look like it's also for the immersion. I'm just starting to realize how sad my life is.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a good admission. And you must feel better getting that off your chest.
Yeah. This show is gonna put me into the hospital. The biggest disappointments followed by next week being like, I'm so sad. What am I doing with my life? But oh my God, speaking of what I'm doing with my life, I went to the dentist for the first time in like 4 years as well. I'm doing a lot of things I haven't done in a few years. COVID really split the usual self-care things right down the middle. And my teeth were pretty much perfect, but one thing that just blew my mind up as far as annoyances was I scheduled the appointment like a week before my appointment, and I shit you not, within the next week, I got 5 texts reminding me that I had an appointment in 5 days and 3 emails. And I was just like, no, I get it. I made the appointment last week. I'm not going to forget it.
They must have attendance issues there.
Yeah, which is amazing because that's got to be the only like medical profession in the entire country that must have attendance issues at this point, because everywhere else is like backed up by 3 years.
Yeah, people are just like, yeah, I'm not going to. I'll go back in 6 months.
I almost canceled the appointment because of it. I was just like, this is annoying as all hell. And I don't like getting texts and emails as it is. I don't know. I feel like an old person.
That's a lot for an appointment. That really
is. It is. I don't know who's going to that dentist office. It seems like a pretty young crowd. I don't know if the young crowd is that forgetful. Well, maybe not. I don't know. You've got kids. Are they forgetful and not attentive?
Yes.
All right. Never mind. That makes sense.
Most children are.
Not most 28-year-old men.
No. You don't need 8 messages in 5 days to remind you, I think. Plus the anxiety of knowing you have to go to the dentist. That's got to be weighing heavy on your mind.
Yeah. I mean, my teeth were pretty well. I had the appointment, so my teeth are pretty much perfect. I don't know why. Like, I don't take great care of them. Obviously, I brush them, but like, it's been 4 years and I haven't really thought that much about them, and they're fine. Mm-hmm. I think it's all just like it's all a scam. Dentistry is a scam.
I think I told you I usually floss for 2 weeks before a dental appointment, and they're like, "Oh, somebody's been flossing. Good job." And I'm like, "Do you know what you're talking? I just started last week. 14 days out, buddy. That's all this is.
I do it just
5
the day
months
before.
Of nothing. 5 months of they have no idea what they're talking about. It's a scam. Dentistry's a scam.
I do it the day before, and then on my way to the dentist, I'll stop and get some Dunkin' Donuts and a coffee.
Nice.
Yeah. Be like, no. And they'll be like, oh, your teeth are perfect. And I'm like, oh, really? Because you're looking through a cold brew and a glazed donut right now.
They have no idea.
Yeah. The only thing was that I have like a little bit of a filling that's coming loose, so might have to get that fixed. But honestly, could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
As I always say, could have been a lot worse. That's kind of my motto. Oh God, that's another sad thing to understand. Good
Lord. That is true, though.
Welcome to the Depression Podcast.
Here's all the things that are wrong with me.
The show where I put myself down so you can feel better about yourself. Actually,
people like that.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I've been watching a lot of like movie reviews for terrible movies lately, like Nicolas Cage's catalog, Steven Seagal's catalog, and everyone in those movies is just like, remember, if you ever feel bad about yourself or feel like you're not good at something, just remember that these movies got made.
Wow. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there could be a lot worse. Or The Room. The Room is just the perfect pick-me-up. Even though it's impossible to get through because it's a good movie. It's a good, terrible movie.
Of all the celebrities I've been a fan of in my life, nobody has gone from as high on the list to as low on the list as Steven Seagal.
Yeah, man. Have you actually seen anything that he's done recently? He doesn't like move at all.
Right. There's something wrong with him. And he's insane. Dude, when he was doing those movies with Kelly LeBrock, who ended up becoming his wife, like that was it. He could have rode that out for 30 years. He had the world by the balls. And you know what he did? You know what he did? He tore him off because that's what he does when he grabs balls.
He tore him off?
Yep. Clean,
it's like
one shot.
Like MacGruber ripping out throats. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where he gets his whole team together and then blows them up accidentally.
I love that character. You know, when SNL does movies, they're very hit or miss. And that was a hit. Yeah. It was when I had for years been like, dude, they gotta do a movie on Magruder because that's a hilarious bit.
Are you kidding me?
It's the same bit every time too now, and that still cracks me up.
He's disarming a nuke. He's like, you kidding me? There's like 100 wires here. I'm like a 3-wire kind of guy.
Dude, hilarious. Great character based off a great character.
For all the people that hate his movies, Adam Sandler easily has to be the biggest movie star from SNL with actually a decent catalog of movies with a lot of SNL characters in them.
Yeah, so you're forgetting about Steve Martin, who might be the only person I think as far as catalog of film. I mean, Sandler's made more money.
Steve Martin just as a person.
Yeah, dude, also. Steve Martin's just an incredible talent. I think he's got to be one on that list, but I'll give you Sandler's definitely been the most successful thing since the 80s. Well, all right, check that. No.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, Eddie Murphy, Bill Murray, Steve Martin, then Adam Sandler.
Okay, that's the Mount Rushmore. Yeah, that's a good SNL Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Don't forget Eddie Murphy, that super huge megastar. Bam, yes.
Yep. Yeah, God. I can't believe I forgot about Steve Martin. And he's one of two wild and crazy guys.
Yeah,
and he's also an award-winning bluesgrass musician as well.
Yeah, well,
multi-talented.
I was saying too, maybe Chevy Chase, but Chevy Chase in the last 30 years, there's really not much to talk about. There's some great movies in the 80s. Spies Like Us, if you've never seen it, is arguably one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Chevy Chase also is mostly talked about now for just being a dick behind the scenes, which
is so unfortunate, dude. But
yeah.
His brand of comedy was always very physical, and he was a drug addict for a long time because of the physical comedy. But he from everything I've ever heard, is a giant douchebag.
Yeah, there's been a whole he pretty much tops every list of worst people to work with. A lot of the time, well, definitely from SNL, but like him, Alec Baldwin, that guy the guy who played Inigo Montoya, unfortunately, because God, that's just ruining a part of my childhood as well. Knowing that the man who avenged the death of his father, I mean, The Princess Bride is one of my all-time favorite movies, and he was like one of my all-time favorite characters. And then hearing that he's just but I think he apologized a lot because he knew he was kind of a hard person to work with. But yeah, that was a little bit of a downer. But yeah, so Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin, Adam Sandler, and
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Yeah, Bill Murray definitely has to be up there as well. He's just got Bill Murray. Honestly, a lot of the time, Bill Murray, I think, is similar to what we were talking about last week with Will Ferrell, where he gets by in a lot of situations on his reputation and not necessarily on like the script that they're working with and stuff like that. But he has done a lot of really funny things, except as he said in
Go ahead. Who was on his way, did the Austin Powers with Shrek? Mike Myers. And then I don't know. Yeah. He did So I Married an Axe Murderer, and that was pretty much the end of it for him.
Yeah, he did like a weird, very small role in Inglourious Bastards and then took a really long break. And then he came back with that Netflix show, The Pentaveret, which I hear is really funny. But yeah, Mike Myers is up there. I hear he was also really tough to work with, though, in a lot of situations.
Yeah, makes sense.
He probably knew he had to take a break once he made The Love Guru, which was
The Love Guru. You know, it's funny, during the 80s, they had Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, Dennis Miller,
John
Hartman, I thought, and all those guys eventually left the show to become movie stars, and they all just failed to do anything.
Yeah, well,
I was shocked by that. I figured one or two of them, they were so funny. I thought one or two of them were going to hit, and nobody did.
Well, see, I think the thing with a lot of SNL cast members is that they're extremely good complementary pieces to other complementary pieces. So like what's the saying? Like the sum of they're a lot funnier together with them, like with other people.
Sum
from
of
SNL.
All parts.
Yeah, the sum of all parts is greater than just the one individual, which when it comes to Hollywood and being in movies, it's like that usually means you're going to be a background character or comic relief, which is what a lot of those people ended up being. Like Lovitz, I mean, you see him in a lot of like Sandler movies or other things just as a secondary character. But I mean, one of my favorite stories related to Lovitz was just Adam Sandler talking about, I think he was on, it was either Conan or like Kimmel or something, but he was talking about when he finally got invited to Carrie Fisher's big celebrity party, and he like walked up, and then Lovitz is like, well, look who's been accepted. In his Lovitz voice, and I can totally picture him almost like when he's in I don't know if you've seen Grown Ups 2, but he's like checking out like was it Grown Ups 2? Well, anyway, there's a movie where he's like looking at a hot girl and he's like, I'm having a wonderful time. He
is so funny. Again, dude, I just thought there's got to be something. That guy's so funny, dude. When he used to do oh God, I can't think of the name of the bit. He would lie. Mr. Subliminal.
Mm-hmm.
No, Subliminal was the other guy. No, he was a big, he did this whole bit where he just tell he's outraged. He's so funny. His delivery is funny. I thought, dude, this guy's going to be a movie star. I would watch comedies with this guy. He's hilarious. But again, like nothing. It's crazy.
I mean, he could be kind of like Jaylen Brown on the Celtics. Like, you can't really picture him being the number one guy on a team, but he's got a lot of power when he's got other people just slightly ahead of him and they're making a team effort to do stuff. Like, he's not the star, but he's got a very good tool to make a really good situation even better.
Phil Hartman was one of the funniest people who ever lived. His wife shot and killed him just before he was going to leave the show to start making movies as well. And him, I feel like it would have gone. He was doing a show called News Radio. on CBS that was really funny. But yeah, that was too bad because that guy, he had star power written all over him, I feel like.
I've never heard of Phil Hartman, and I don't even recognize him looking him up right now.
Look up Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer and then thank me later.
I'm gonna.
Definitely one of the funniest people ever on it. He did a lot of impressions too. He was very funny dude.
Who's the guy who did all the Al Gore impressions on SNL, who was huge as well, but for some reason you don't hear about him as much anymore.
Oh yeah, Daryl Hammond.
Yeah, Daryl Hammond. Yeah, they had him for
really
Trump
good.
for a while. Yeah,
it was so weird, dude. Yeah, right. You like the guy leaves the show, and you're like, oh, he must be working on something, and then you never see him again, and you're like, I guess not.
Yeah, when they brought in Baldwin as Trump, I was like, why don't they keep Daryl Hammond? He was awesome.
Yeah.
I never really liked Baldwin.
They like having big celebrities come on and do impressions. And sometimes the other people are much funnier. There's a guy on SNL now, no name, who does a absolutely killer Trump.
Yeah, what was that? Also, the guy who does Biden too, the guy kind of with the larger nose, who they don't like use him for anything except for impressions. But he's like he could easily be one of the best characters on SNL if he's still there.
His Trump is 10 times better than Baldwin's. His Trump sounds like Trump. And even the crazy stuff he says, you can almost see Trump saying it. He's great. I don't know how we got on SNL, but I like it.
We were talking about what were we talking about? Sandler or something. Have you seen That's My Boy?
No.
Oh my God, that's got to be Sandler's best movie since like his early 2000s and 90s stuff, like best comedy easily. His son's like the story is essentially like it starts out Adam Sandler as a kid, but like not played by Adam Sandler, and he ends up banging one of his high school teachers, who's played by Susan Sarandon's daughter, who's absolutely gorgeous. And then he becomes like a pop culture icon because of this. And the teacher got pregnant and went to jail and had the baby in jail, and Sandler had to like raise him as like an 80s pop culture icon, but he was a terrible father because he was just a kid. So then they jump forward and it's like it's Andy Samberg's his son, who's a total nerd, and Sandler plays just like a total like a washed up pop culture icon from the 80s, and it has some of the best like cameos in it. Like this movie made me love Rex Ryan, and that's all I'm gonna say about Rex Ryan in this.
Wow, okay.
But it's got Rex Ryan, it's got like Vanilla Ice. It is just damn funny.
Oh, well, now you've given me something to do.
Yeah, check out That's My Boy. I would be amazed if you were disappointed by it, because it is just it really pushes the envelope as far as like it goes way back to just Adam Sandler's raunchy, no fucks given kind of comedy, as opposed to just like cash grabby comedy Netflix movies. It's very good. Also, when they eventually go back to see the teacher at one point, and instead of Susan Sarandon's daughter, it's just Susan Sarandon playing the grown-up version of it.
Ah.
So they got Susan in there, who's one of my celebrity crushes. I love Susan Sarandon.
She is great.
Total babe. God, I can't even find the name of the guy who played Biden on SNL, but I did love all the Biden stuff during the no, not that guy. During the election.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Listen, Biden's a fun person to make fun of. And I don't know if you've seen this latest thing, dude, where I've seen this meme going around. It looks like there are 4 different people playing the role of Joe Biden currently. And some of them kind of look alike, but when you look at the furthest apart, it's like, that's a different person. My wife was like, just different angles. And I'm like, look at a different person, a different face, completely different wrinkles, everything. She's like, well, he's got a dot right over here and then right there. And I was like, well, they could just draw that on everybody.
This is like the Arrested Development Saddam Hussein joke.
Right,
they just got a house full of Bidens.
How hard would that be? Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't give it any credence. It's kind of a conspiracy theory going around, but I'm willing to at least talk
That would
about it.
probably
Did
be
you
one
see
of the easier things for the White House to pull off.
Bro, did you see the video where he's like, hey, so let me tell you about this. And for like 4 minutes, his eyes are bugging out of his head and he doesn't blink.
Of course, they always talk about it on Fox News, and they're just like, let the American people have what he's having. It looks fun.
Yeah. I think they're edited, the videos. I think they're jump cut. And I
probably.
think you can, if you look at it, you can see the jump cut. But that said, it's still weird that every time they're rolling, his eyes are popping out of his head. It's a little weird.
He might legitimately be rolling.
Right?
Which makes his eyes pop out of his head. Honestly, that would, like, I feel like Biden haters would be like, my God, did you hear that Biden was on like ecstasy or Molly? It's like, and then the rest of the country's just like, that sounds freaking cool.
Joe Biden is so old that he got COVID again. Just got it again. You saw that?
Yeah, well, that was like 3 days after he tested negative for the first time as well.
Right.
Well, he's the president, but I'm still amazed. Like him and Trump, I am amazed that COVID didn't wipe them out, because they don't look like they're doing all that well. So they must have had like every type of science experiment going on them just to keep them going.
Well, and not for nothing, but Donald Trump's not 270 pounds, right? I mean, that's a heavy
You mean
guy.
Biden's not?
No, Trump. Do you Trump physical? He was like 6'3", 270, and it's like, dude, that guy's not 270. That guy's at least 310.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought you're okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, look, physically, Joe Biden's body looks like he's in shape. It's his mind is more or less, it's definitely a little wandering. I'll grant that to people. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. I got that. But neither of these guys is the picture of health. And you would have thought, again, I would assume being the president, you're getting top care to prevent that. But yeah, that's why we need younger people.
Top care from top men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Top men. It's like, hey, we're going to try this. If you die, we'll say it's COVID. If you live, it's science.
Yeah, there you go.
That's got to be what they're doing. I can't imagine what they have, though. They're probably just like, we'll take all of your blood out and use all of what we have in storage right here because that's cleaner. It's probably the whole 9 yards. It's like that freaking hospital that they had set up for Gus Fring in Breaking Bad after he poisoned himself.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, I hate that.
But yeah, I'm amazed, like, by certain, like, my grandpa, actually, I haven't seen him pretty much at all in the past 2 weeks because he got COVID. Even though we live in the same house, we've just been like, every time I hear him out there, I stay in my room. Every time he hears me out here, which is amazing because he can't hear anything, he stays in his room. But yeah, and he's like not in great shape either, but he's still kicking. And honestly, I think if he didn't get the vaccine, he probably wouldn't be. So that's definitely something to be happy about there. But yeah, it's like the kind of some people that do die from it. It's amazing how inconsistent. It's probably also with the Omicron variant, which isn't as serious, but like, hearing the demographics of people get wiped out by it, it's amazing that some people just kind of recover as quickly as they do, or have no like long-term effects. Because I've known people like close to a year of my age who now have like breathing issues or heart issues just because of it, and they didn't get it bad. It was just earlier on when we didn't know anything about it. It's amazing that some situations aren't as bad. It's almost like it's kind of like luck of the draw, which is interesting, especially when you're dealing with something that you can't see. But freaky stuff.
Yeah, it is. I got my CAT scan last week. I haven't heard anything back, so something.
I was also going to ask, have you talked to your mom since last week?
I did, and as I told her, it again was just procedural. The lady, my doctor, was just like, just might as well send you. Let's rule everything out.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there for like 2 minutes. They put me in.
and then back out I went, and I was on my way. It was quick. It was painless. And I'm assuming a week later something had come up. They would have probably called me.
Well, if it wasn't painless, I would simply assume that you had prison tattoos.
Yeah.
That always terrifies me because I'm just like, what if there's metal in my body that I don't know about?
Right? Oh my God.
It's going to be like X-Men 2 when Magneto pulls iron out of the security guard's body.
Well, it was weird because she was like, close your eyes. And then she was like, I'm going to put these things over your eyes. And I thought, well, is that my eyes being covered or am I supposed to close them? Then I thought, should they be open and covered? Or should I I didn't know what to do. I kind of got a little panicky in there.
Are my eyes going to fuck up the CAT scan?
Right? Does this make it not work if my eyes are like this? I don't know. I didn't know.
She's just messing with you.
Could be.
She's like,
I wouldn't know.
He doesn't know. I'm not even the CAT scan operator.
Yeah. I did tell her something like, I've only, because she was like, you had a CAT scan before. I'm like, no, but I've seen this on TV like a million times. Very excited for it.
I got an MRI once and I was like laying down to get it. Or maybe it was a CAT scan. I can't actually, it might've been in the giant donut. Those are CAT scans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was probably a CAT scan. And I look up and the lady's like, do you have any questions before we start? And I was just like, is that an Xbox logo? And she was like, oh yeah, Xbox makes the equipment for CAT scans. And I was like, not Microsoft, like Xbox. And they're like, no. Like a lot of our camera technology comes from Xbox. And I was just like, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Oh God, who knew that?
I didn't until then. I guess it kind of came from their Xbox, like the Kinect, which they used for like motion tracking and like their like Kinect Fit games and stuff like that.
Wow, that is crazy, huh?
It dove right into like medical equipment and stuff. I was just amazed that it had the Xbox logo as opposed to like Microsoft or something like that.
Sure, because the Xbox logo doesn't make anybody feel good. No one's looking at the Xbox logo like, oh, well, there, Xbox made this.
No, I expected the CAT scan machine to just start teabagging me once it got started. I was just like, Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to find like different things that are made like, or what companies dive into different products. Like Bic, obviously, they don't make a lot of like massive things, but they go from pens to like shaving razors to the best lighters in the world. It's like, dude, way to go, Bic.
Solid.
But oh, I also wanted to mention that speaking of my grandpa, since we were talking about him having COVID, he has got so the other day he gave me some money to go out and get actually, God, just it hits me now. Like my dad, when he was young, he was like, my dad used to give me money to go out and get him cigarettes or like place a bet. And he used to go and buy like milk for the family and like get yelled at because he was doing something better with his dad's money than his dad was. So, but my grandpa, like the other day, he gave me some money to go buy a bottle of vodka. And obviously, since like, I mean, I'm not my dad. I just went and bought the vodka. He gave me like too much. And I was like, we were saying that, oh, I'll get him another bottle in a couple days. And the other day he like came out, he was like, Robbie, you still owe me a bottle of vodka. And I was like, yeah, I know. Did you finish the two that we had? Like the traveler sized giant handles of vodka? And he was like, no, we still got them both, but still owe me a bottle of vodka. And I was like, okay, no, yeah, I know, I'll get you it. I'm not trying to steal your money or anything. And then like a couple days later, he's talking to someone, and he's who came over. He was like, did you see an envelope in that thing? Your grandmother used to leave envelopes in there with a couple $1,000s of cash. And I was like, because old people used to like leave cash because they didn't trust banks and stuff like that. But I was like, this guy misplaces a couple grand, but he doesn't forget that I owe him $20 worth of vodka ever.
No.
Just like, where are the priorities financially there?
My parents did that. They had a bunch of money or traveler's checks or stuff. I forget exactly what it was in a suitcase in our house, and it went missing with all the money in it. Yeah, that was a bad day at our house.
I feel bad for the people that had their like entire life savings under a mattress and then their house goes up in flames or something like that.
Yeah. You got to
It's like,
bury that stuff. You got to bury that in the yard if you're going to do that.
yeah, or just bury it on a golf course in New Jersey, right next to Donald Trump's ex-wife.
Oh my God, dude, have you seen all that now? She apparently, I guess, wanted to be buried there.
Okay,
It is
that I was like,
that's fine. And that's fine. I have a hard time believing that, but okay, maybe she did. He no longer has to pay taxes on that site now because it is considered a cemetery because it's a place of burial for somebody.
apparently they've tried to do that before in New Jersey, which is, I mean, like or hate Donald Trump, that is just, take the opportunity if you can. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I don't like Donald Trump at all, but like
Yeah.
when I heard about that, I was like, if as long as he's not like going against her dying wish to be buried somewhere else, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
honestly,
again, I wonder about that. But here's the other thing. Like, they didn't even weed it.
it did
Like, dude,
honestly look like just a hole that they randomly dug and put like a little stone
right?
with like a stone that was carved into it.
Just a
It's like,
stone. Like, dude, there's a lot of signs at golf courses. There could be a really nice, like, plaque or something on, you know what I mean? Like, when you go to the whole, why? Why not something a little more elaborate? That
honestly,
just seems underwhelming.
it didn't look much worse. Like when I saw the picture of the gravesite, I was like, oh, that's not much more luxurious than just being like dropped underneath a sand trap. Like it looked very kind of, I mean, it's Trump, so it was probably just like found someone who was like, hey, I
She's got to be in a pine box, right?
I got a tenner here. You want to dig a hole for me?
Yeah.
Just make sure the green stays clear, buddy. All right. Well, just make sure the green stays clear, buddy. All right.
There it
I have
is.
the
Yeah.
greenest screens.
I'm so blown away by that, dude. That is, I mean, I can't imagine that woman was like, bury me on the first hole at Bedminster. I don't see it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like enshrining yourself in a very public and up class type of, or like high class type of place. So, I mean,
Do you want to be buried when you die?
I want to, oh God, what did I want to do? No, I want to, okay. The way I want it, I mean, I don't want to be buried at all. If I can't, if I'd probably like to be cremated, but if I really had my way, I'd like to be like taken on like a military transport plane, like a C-130 or something, and just strategically airdropped from like high altitude into a volcano somewhere. I think that would be pretty badass.
That would definitely be wow.
I've got a long way before I can probably get that to be done, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like if they can coordinate dropping a bomb from a plane somewhere for it to land on target, I'd be like, that'd be pretty cool to just drop me into a volcano from like 40,000 feet up.
I would like to die like Mr. Spock in the Wrath of Khan movie, where after he dies, I want to be launched in a coffin in outer space.
Ooh, that's another good idea. I could have been just put in the driver's seat of that Tesla Roadster that Elon dropped into space.
You know what, actually, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, how about a clear glass coffin launched into space?
That'd be good. Oh, actually, since we were talking about conspiracy theories or things of that nature, or like true crime stuff, find a really popular conspiracy theory where somebody's just looking for a body somewhere to like make the link to something, and then have my friends like secretly bury me there. So eventually the people are like, we got to check this spot, and they'll dig me up and they'll be like, oh my God, it's real.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You never really think about what you're gonna. Well, I mean, I'm also an organ donor, so they'd probably have to harvest everything. But I don't know if I get old and they can't do that. I don't know. There's so many options. It's like a
I'm not
dead
an
body.
organ donor.
So much room for activities.
Yeah, I'm not an organ donor. I don't want to be desecrated after I'm dead.
I don't know. I feel desecrated already, even though I'm alive. So
Plus, what if you're like right near death and they're like, oh, Robbie's spleen would be perfect for this other person. Just kind of let you die.
I mean, I've got a donor's C5 vertebrae in my body, so I'm a beneficiary of organ
Oh
donors.
my God. Really? You're going to bring that up?
Yeah,
Jesus
so
Christ. Hard to
yeah.
argue against it now.
Yeah, hard to argue when I'm still beautiful and stumbling all over the place because of somebody else.
Yes, sir, you are. Well,
But
thank
yeah,
God that person wasn't an asshole.
no, I'm not thanking God. I'm just thanking that person
That's hilarious. Yes.
and the dude who put it in because he did a bang up job. But yeah, I don't know. Now there's so many cool ways. Like all I know is I don't want my ashes scattered somewhere unless it's
I've
like
never understood the idea of the scattering of the ashes. I mean, they just blow away.
yeah, unless it was somewhere like strategic, like an intake for an air system at like a building or a company building. So everyone's just like, oh, why is it so dusty in here? Just like a minor inconvenience.
Yep.
I don't know. I'd like it to have at least some element of humor or like badassness.
Fair. Do you believe in an afterlife?
Um, I I don't really know. Like a lot of the time it's just something that I don't have any way to answer, so I don't think too much about it. I'm not someone who fears death or anything. I always had uh when I was a camp counselor a few years ago, I had a buddy named Yemi who always had a tattoo that just said "Embrace Death." And when I asked him about it, he was like, everybody, like a lot of people are afraid of death, but nobody really has a concrete answer for what happens. Um, it's just the typical fear of the unknown. So I'd like to think there's something else. I don't think there's like any specific type of heaven. If I were to believe in an afterlife, it would almost be like my soul or my consciousness kind of ascending to a type of like
Another
maybe more
realm.
another or like a realm or just like a dimension where like a
Okay.
soul or intellect or your actually like brain activity or what we call a soul isn't confined to a physical body.
73% of Americans believe in heaven, 62% believe in hell. Okay. 92% of Christians believe in heaven, 79% believe in hell. Atheists, 3%, 1%. So progressively, as people get older, as you're older, you're more likely to believe in heaven and hell. But still, for most people, it's about 50% of all these demographics plus believe in heaven and hell, which I think is absolutely crazy. Only 1 in 6 Americans does not believe in an afterlife of any sort. And here's where it gets kind of weird, dude. 2/3 of U.S. adults believe that deceased people are reunited with their loved ones when they get to heaven. Do you believe in any of that kind of nonsense? Like that when you die, you're going to see all your old relatives and friends?
I mean, me saying that like I would be more inclined to believe in like an ascension to like a not physical form. I wouldn't say they're like waiting for me at the gates of heaven. I mean, like my parents don't even wait for me when I like get to their place.
That's
But
hilarious. 65% of people think that they'll be reunited with loved ones.
yeah, with the thing from heaven and hell, like I don't think there's an afterlife that's almost like categorized based on a kind of a simple perception of right and wrong. I think like the like our existence on Earth isn't bound by right and wrong. It's pretty much everything. So I feel like if there is an afterlife, then it would be similar in that sense. I mean, there's tons of space. Also, like I don't know. I don't know. I just what makes sense to me. The thing that the way I always think about this is Keanu Reeves, I think, said it best on the Late Show with or Tonight Show, Colbert. when Colbert asked, because he was talking about John Wick, where, I mean, everybody dies. He was just like, what do you think happens to us when we die, Keanu Reeves? And he just took a second. And since Keanu Reeves has dealt with a lot of tragedy, he's lost significant others numerous times. He just said, he took a breath and he was like, I know that the people that love us will miss us. And I was like, he doesn't say what he thinks. He just says what he knows. And that's what's important. And that's kind of what I go off of, because if there is an afterlife, I'd like to think that I've done enough during my lifetime that I could be proud of myself looking back from the afterlife. And if there isn't an afterlife, I'd like to think that I've done everything that I can to enjoy the life that I have. So I don't think too much about the afterlife or like what form of afterlife there is. But yeah, I don't know. I don't believe in a heaven or a hell though. That seems like too specific of a vision. And when you do sometimes hear like people that have come back from death, having a vision of some sort or seeing heaven or hell, I'm just like, I don't know what happens to the brain, or if there is like a massive release of chemicals in the brain that could, in your last moments, create some sort of vision or high, because like chemicals get released in the brain like crazy when you're on like acid and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, like I know people that have been like, I talked to God or I was in heaven. So it's like, if you die and your brain just releases a certain amount of chemicals, then it could be just based on that. Like there's not enough science. There's not enough, stuff to go on for me to actually take a specific stance on it.
Do you believe in reincarnation? A third of all Americans believe in reincarnation, especially young black women.
I would believe in reincarnation before believing in like heaven or hell. Isn't there like that egg theory or something? Like before you become like a supreme being, you have like an existence through every single life form, and every life form on earth is like a different iteration of yourself before you get to that like supreme being status. Like everything is you just don't remember it. That kind of theory as well.
Yep. I'll give you some more crazy numbers here. 44% of all U.S. adults believe that their life is predetermined. God made a plan and they're just following the plan. 68% of Americans think everything in life happens for a reason. It's somehow all cosmically connected. 83% believe that things happen that can't be explained by science or natural causes. And that's the frightening thing for me. And that number is at least 80% in every single demographic except for atheists and agnostics.
Well, that's what irritates me, because the camp that I've worked at a camp specifically for children with life-threatening illnesses. So I've not only had the experience of breaking my neck, being completely paralyzed, fighting back from like severe quadriplegia. I've also known a lot of kids that I've had as campers that are no longer with us, and for people to like, I would like to say that their death had, if I were to say that a death happened for a reason, I'd like to say that the reason was for me to be a better person, and that the result of a death like that was given meaning by the actions that followed it, not just based on some sort of like predetermined path. Because if a path is made, and that includes like some of the nicest people I've ever known dying at the age of like 10 or 12, then that is a disgusting person to either worship or have faith in, or to like why would you worship someone like that? Even if they are a supreme being, it's like, okay, no, I would want to bring down that supreme being. If anything, like if that was a person with that kind of power, people would already overrun them and kill them.
67% of Americans, that's more than 2/3, believe that they can get a specific prayer request answered. 46% claim they've experienced asking for something specific in prayer and getting it. 67% believe it's possible, and 29% say that they basically know somebody who has. And again, if you look at this along religious lines, along racial lines, it's extremely consistent. Again, people think that they can pray and make things happen. I think that is insane.
Can I say that and we're kind of up against it as far as time is, but I want to just say that if I were to, in my mind, envision like a god figure at all existing, I would say that the only thing that, and this is as just far reaching out for some sort of like realistic vision in my own mind, it would be like humans, the earth, the universe would almost make up the brain of that supreme being. You know what I'm saying? Like our brain has millions or billions of connections that we can't even really map or understand yet. So if the only thing that makes sense, because there's so many imperfections in our existence, in our world, in how we handle things, I would say that if there were a supreme being, then we would be some sort of like cohesive unit making up a large amount of those connections that ultimately form the brain of a supreme being, I guess. And just because there's so much wrong with how things are handled, how things just kind of are in nature. I mean, nature's imperfect by design, even though that's kind of what makes it perfect as far as like a human perception. I just think when I think of a human brain, it's so complex, so developed, and so evolved, but still so wildly imperfect that the only explanation I could think of if there were a supreme being is that we're kind of that imperfect unit that makes up a brain of some sort for that. I don't know. That's how I look at it. It sounds crazy, even like explaining it, but like I am 99.9% atheist, and that like 0.1% that's not would find that much more justifiable as opposed to like a figure in space or in the sky directing everything.
Last one I'm going to give you. Fewer than half Americans say they have felt the presence of the deceased, but most say it's possible to do so. 72% of Americans believe you can have an experience with somebody who is dead. 44% have experienced it. Again, if you're Catholic or evangelical or Protestant, you're at a much higher rate to believe that. 51% of Americans believe you can get help from somebody who has died. 20% say they've experienced that. 47% believe it's possible to communicate with the dead. 14% say they have. And the number one group, Black Americans, believe that you can talk to people on the other side. I just think some of these numbers on death and an afterlife are a little disturbing. I'll be honest with you. 8 in 10 Christians have had some sort of near-death experience.
A little disturbing, but I wouldn't say surprising. I would say because death, the afterlife, the answer to why we exist, like one of the biggest things is that people want to find meaning or answers to that. And humans are extremely diverse. We've evolved in different ways. We've lived in different cultures. Everyone seems to be interested in the answer to that. Even though the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy obviously gave us 42 as the answer to life and meaning and everything.
Yes.
But it's just, everyone's looking for something, and nobody really has answers. Nobody has concrete evidence of what happens after it. And that's kind of where the allure, or, people are either excited or terrified to find out what it could be because they don't have answers. So everybody having like a different feel about what could happen. It's like I said, the brain is an extremely complicated thing, and that's what processes and kind of creates our understanding and vision for everything. So I'm not surprised by that. I will say the like experiences with people in the afterlife are that's kind of why I say like it would be interesting to have the possibility to kind of ascend, almost to have your soul continue existing or your mental being continue existing, to kind of transcend the physical form. Because even deja vu, like, I mean, deja vu could just be like a memory collapsing, but like a lot of people have deja vu and they're like, I've experienced this exact moment before. So I'm always like, maybe that is some sort of indication that there is like a form of existence where time isn't like, we don't view time as a linear thing. And that's something I've never like had full faith in that or fully like preached that was what goes on, but it's always been something that's like left open as a possibility in my mind to be fascinated by when I finally do find the answer. Or when I don't find the answer and I just end up being dropped into a volcano and nothing happens after that. But I don't know. It's you could go absolutely crazy trying to think about answers to everything we don't know, especially beyond the scope of just Earth. And that's why I try not to think too much about it, because you will go absolutely nuts if you want to devote your entire life to that.
For what it's worth, Jesus in the Bible gave very few details about what heaven was. Most of what we've taken is from the Acts of the Apostles, which, again, who told them any of this stuff? Mm-hmm. Jesus was already dead. Supposedly, according to the Bible, what heaven is your opportunity to endlessly worship at the feet of God for the rest of time. That's all it says. It doesn't say anything about your dog or your grandmother or your old girlfriend and you guys are at the age of your prime. People have made that up. Mm-hmm. People have largely made up a lot of this. And again, I think it's just the irrational fear of death. I think people are afraid of death. People don't know how to handle death. When people go up to you at a funeral, Robbie, and they're like, well, your dad's in a better place. What does that even mean?
And that's kind of the comfort in finding answers that you can't find for yourself. Like if you've got a fear or you're just getting consumed by like not knowing what happens next, and then somebody, a religious figure or like a pastor would come up to you and be like, we've got the answers. Like, you just have to have faith in this system. Then, people could take comfort in that. People a lot of time will just take comfort in the thought of them having found a solution to a problem, even if it's not the solution. And that's why I make a lot of money off suckers.
Hey, well, one born every minute. Again, it shocks me that so many people believe, like half the country believes that no matter what they do, their life has been predetermined since birth. I think that's nuts that people think that. That is crazy. And that's religion's fault. Honestly, up, that's religion's fault.
If that is like what people believe, then whoever wrote my life has some serious fucking writer's block, because not much going on.
Yeah. Well, it could be a lot more exciting, buddy. You just need a better team.
Yeah. I'm like, right now, the writer of my book seems like somebody whose best work came out when they were drunk, and now he's trying to stay sober.
Oh, good Lord. That's funny.
But, I mean, we could talk for days about this, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more come the next few episodes, but I think it's a good time to wrap it up right there. You agree?
Sure thing. I feel like I got it all out.
Fantastic. Well, before we go, I'd just like to remind people that we have social media. If you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, it's all at Following Flames. We'd love to have you a part of the community. You could also give us some topics, or if you have questions about anything we talked about, or even information, like if we said something that you don't agree with, we'd love to have the engagement, the interest in what we're talking about. And honestly, we just love having people give us more things to better understand, ask more questions about. It all helps. We're as Joe has said, we're very interested in the factual side of things, and if we get anything wrong, we're molded by information. So if you want to give us some more information, we'd be absolutely grateful. But we'll wrap it up there. This has been Following Flames. I'm Robbie McCluskey, joined as always by Joe Guire, and we love you and hope you guys have a great week.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership, and to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.